Amara Clayton strolled into Luxe Couture, the boutique's chandeliers glinting above Atlanta's elite. Seeking a gown, she faced Lillian Voss, the manager, whose sneer cut deep. "We don't serve your kind." Shoppers froze as Amara, calm, tapped her phone, buying the store in seconds. Lillian, fired, paled. Amara's victory stung with pride, but a text buzzed. "You'll regret this." "Who sent it?" "Before we dive in, tell us where you're watching from. If you stand for justice, hit like and subscribe for more gripping stories." Amara Clayton stood in her sleek downtown Atlanta penthouse, the city's skyline glowing 80 stories below, her mind buzzing with plans to transform Luxe Couture into a beacon of inclusivity. 2 days after buying the store and firing Lillian Voss, she sipped coffee, scrolling through congratulatory messages on her phone. Her tech empire, Clayton AI, thrived on algorithms that empowered small businesses. But now, with the boutique in her portfolio, she envisioned a space where everyone, regardless of skin color, could feel like royalty. Her team had already mocked up designs, vibrant murals, diverse models, and a scholarship fund for young designers of color. The internet exploded with praise, calling her a trailblazer, a black billionaire shattering barriers in the glitzy pinnacle, Galleria. Her assistant Kayla burst in, her tablet glowing with analytics. Social media posts tagged Amara Rules racked up millions of views, and Luxe Couture's online traffic surged. Amara grinned, her heart swelling. She'd turned Lillian's venom into victory, proving her worth in a world quick to judge her skin. But as Kayla refreshed the tablet, her face fell. A video, posted anonymously on Atlanta's biggest news site, flickered to life. Amara's breath caught. The footage, grainy but damning, showed her in Luxe Couture, edited to make her look like a raging bully, shouting at Lillian, who cowered. The audio was distorted, splicing Amara's calm words into a tirade. "I'll ruin you all." Shoppers in the video gasped, their faces pixelated as text overlay screamed, "Billionaire's true colors exposed." Amara's pulse raced. She'd never raised her voice. This was a lie, a vicious cut-and-paste job. Kayla scrolled frantically. The video had 10 million views in hours, spawning hashtags like Chow Mall Menace and Boycott Clayton. Racist comments flooded the web, calling Amara a thug, a fraud, unfit to own a store in the elite mall. Her phone buzzed with a text from her lead investor, Gerald Hayes, a white venture capitalist who'd bankrolled her AI platform. His message was curt. "We're pulling out. Can't risk the PR hit." Amara's stomach dropped. Gerald's fund was worth $300 million, a lifeline for her expansion into Europe. Losing it could tank her stock price, cripple her empire. She slammed her coffee mug down, the ceramic cracking against the marble counter. Lillian's smug face flashed in her mind. This had to be her doing, a petty revenge for being fired. Amara called her security chief, Malik, demanding a trace on the video's source. He confirmed it came from an encrypted server, but the metadata pointed to a local IP tied to Pinnacle Galleria. Lillian was still in the game, and she wasn't alone. Amara's resolve hardened. She'd expose this fraud, turn the tables again. She donned a tailored blazer, its crisp lines boosting her confidence, and headed to the mall for a press event she'd planned to announce Luxe Couture's rebrand. The Galleria's atrium sparkled under holographic chandeliers, its marble floors, reflecting a crowd of reporters, shoppers, and influencers. Amara stepped to the podium, her voice steady, ready to unveil her vision. Cameras flashed, and she spoke of unity, of a store where no one would face the humiliation she'd endured. The crowd cheered, their applause echoing off glass walls. But as she finished, Lillian emerged from the throng, her blonde hair pulled tight, her lips curled in a venomous smirk. She held a megaphone, her voice slicing through the noise. "This woman's a liar," she shouted, pointing at Amara. "She bullied me, threatened my life. You saw the video!" Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Reporters scribbled furiously, and phones shot up, recording. Amara's fists clenched, her nails digging into her palms. She stepped forward, ready to call out the fake video. But before she could speak, 2 security guards, burly men in black uniforms, flanked her. Their badges glinted under the lights and their eyes were cold, dismissive. "Ma'am, you need to leave," the taller one growled, his hand on his baton. Amara blinked, stunned. "This is my store," she said, her voice rising. "You can't—" The second guard cut her off, grabbing her arm. "You're causing a disturbance. Move." The crowd parted, some jeering, others whispering slurs, under their breath. Amara's face burned, her heart pounding as the guards marched her toward the exit. Lillian's laughter echoed behind her, sharp and triumphant. Shoppers chanted, "Go home!" Their voices dripping with hate, their phones capturing every humiliating step. Outside, the humid 90-degree air hit Amara like a slap. The guards released her, shoving her toward the parking lot. She stumbled, her heels clicking on asphalt, and turned to see Lillian at the glass doors waving mockingly. Amara's vision blurred with rage. She'd bought the store to end this kind of treatment, to claim her place in a world that despised her skin. But Lillian had twisted her triumph, weaponizing lies and prejudice to tear her down. The video wasn't just a smear, it was a calculated strike, backed by someone with resources, someone who knew how to manipulate the system. Amara's phone buzzed again, a news alert flashing. Clayton AI stock plummets amid scandal. Her empire was bleeding, and the anonymous text from 2 days ago, "You'll regret this," loomed larger. Who was pulling Lillian's strings? Amara straightened, wiping sweat from her brow. She'd underestimated her enemy, but she wasn't done. Lillian thought she'd won, but Amara had built a fortune from nothing, outsmarting men who saw her as less. She'd find the truth, expose the lies, and make them pay. As she climbed into her sleek black SUV, its tinted windows shielding her from prying eyes, a new alert pinged. A second video, even more vicious, was spreading. This one showed her car, license plate clear, with a caption, "Fugitive billionaire flees justice." Amara's grip tightened on the wheel. The fight was just beginning, and it was about to get uglier. Amara Clayton hunched over her laptop in a dimly lit safe house, the Atlanta skyline a distant blur through bulletproof glass. 3 days after Lillian Voss's viral smear video turned her into public enemy #1, she was fighting to claw back her life. The doctored footage, painting her as a raging tyrant, had cost her a $300 million investor and a public humiliation at Pinnacle Galleria, where security dragged her out like a criminal. Her stock was tanking, her empire bleeding, but Amara wasn't built to break. She'd risen from a cramped apartment in Savannah, coding at 14, to a billionaire at 34, outsmarting a world that sneered at her black skin. Now she channeled that fire, hiring a crack PR team led by Simone, a sharp-witted media strategist with a knack for flipping narratives. Simone's plan was bold: a series of interviews, charity events, and a documentary showcasing Amara's journey to counter the racist hashtags like mall menace flooding the web. By noon, the tide shifted. A viral thread praising Amara's philanthropy hit 10 million views, and Luxe Couture's rebrand announcement drew cheers online. Amara exhaled, her shoulders loosening. Maybe she'd turned the corner, silenced Lillian's venom. But as Simone briefed her on the next steps, Amara's tech chief, Malik, burst in, his face grim. He'd traced the smear video's IP to a server owned by Pinnacle Galleria's parent company, Hargrove Enterprises. Amara's pulse quickened. Victor Hargrove, the white real estate tycoon who owned half of Atlanta's luxury properties, was no stranger to her. His name surfaced in whispers about backroom deals, rigged contracts, and policies that kept black businesses out of his malls. Was he Lillian's puppet master? Malik dug deeper, pulling up emails showing Victor funneling cash to local news outlets to amplify the smear. One message sent to Lillian read, "Keep Clayton down, she's a threat to our order." Amara's blood boiled. This wasn't just personal. It was systemic, a corporate giant wielding racism to crush her. She instructed Simone to prepare a lawsuit against Victor, alleging defamation and conspiracy. The evidence was ironclad, enough to drag his name through the mud. Amara pictured the headlines, Victor's smug face crumbling. She stood, ready to strike when her phone screamed with alerts. Clayton AI's servers were under attack, a cyber assault flooding her systems with malware. Client data, sensitive financial records for thousands of small businesses, leaked onto the dark web. Amara's knees buckled. Her platform was her lifeline, built to empower communities like the one she'd grown up in. Now it was a liability. News channels pounced, blaming her for the breach, their anchors sneering, "Billionaire's incompetence endangers Atlanta." Social media erupted with slurs, calling her a fraud, a danger. Amara's safe house buzzed with panic as her team scrambled to contain the damage. Malik traced the hack to a Russian server, but the funding trail led back to a Hargrove shell company. Victor wasn't just smearing her, he was dismantling her legacy. As Amara rallied her coders to patch the servers, a roar outside shook the walls. She peeked through the blinds, heart racing. A mob, hundreds strong, swarmed the street below, their signs scrawled with hate. "Clayton out and no thugs in our city." Their chants, laced with slurs, echoed in the 95-degree heat, their faces twisted with rage. Protesters hurled bottles, shattering against the safe house's steel gate. Amara's security team barricaded the doors, but the crowd pressed closer, their fury fueled by the leaked data and racist lies. Simone urged her to flee, but Amara hesitated, her mind racing. How had it escalated so fast? Victor's hand was everywhere, orchestrating chaos to bury her. Malik shoved a tablet in her hands, showing live footage of the mob. A reporter's voiceover sneered, "Amara Clayton's reign of terror continues." Amara's chest tightened. She'd fought to rise above hate, but it was swallowing her whole. Simone grabbed her arm, pulling her toward a back exit. They slipped through a service tunnel, the air thick with mildew, as shouts grew louder outside. Amara's heels sank into the damp concrete, her blazer sticking to her skin. They emerged in an alley, sprinting to a waiting SUV. As Amara dove inside, a brick sailed through the air, smashing the rear window. Glass rained down, and she ducked, her breath ragged. The driver floored it, tires screeching as the mob's screams faded. Amara's hands trembled, but her mind sharpened. Victor had turned her city against her, weaponizing lies and fear. The anonymous text from the mall, "You'll regret this," now felt like his signature. She'd thought Lillian was the enemy, but Victor was the architect, a titan who saw her success as a threat to his empire. Amara leaned back, the SUV speeding through Atlanta's neon-lit streets, her resolve hardening. She'd sue Victor, expose his corruption, and rebuild her name. But as they rounded a corner, her phone lit up with a new alert. Hargrove Enterprises denies involvement, calls Clayton paranoid. The article quoted Lillian, now Victor's spokesperson, smirking. "She's unraveling, sad, really." Amara's jaw clenched. This was war, and Victor was playing dirty. Hey viewers, what do you think? Comment number 1 if you're raging at Victor's slimy tactics, or if you think Amara's got the guts to take him down. Hit like to stand with her fight for justice, and subscribe to catch every twist in this battle. Who's really pulling the strings behind this chaos? Stick around to find out what Amara uncovers next. Amara Clayton crouched in a rented loft on Atlanta's outskirts, the air heavy with the scent of fresh paint and desperation. A week after escaping a racist mob that shattered her SUV's window, she was a ghost in her own city, hunted by lies, orchestrated by Victor Hargrove, the tycoon behind Pinnacle Galleria. His cyber attack on Clayton AI had leaked client data, tanking her reputation, while Lillian Voss's doctored video fueled hashtags branding her a menace. But Amara, forged in the fire of a world that underestimated her black skin, wasn't done. She'd built her tech empire from a second-hand laptop at 14, outwitting Ivy League coders who sneered at her roots. Now, she rallied her inner circle, a tight crew of coders and analysts, to trace the hack that crippled her servers. The loft's walls hummed with monitors, their glow casting shadows on Malik, her security chief, and Simone, her PR strategist, as they pored over data. Amara's fingers flew across her keyboard, her eyes burning from sleepless nights. She'd lost $300 million in investments, her stock was in freefall, and her dream to rebrand Luxe Couture as an inclusive haven felt like a cruel joke. But she had a lead. The hack's encryption matched a signature tied to Hargrove Enterprises. Victor was the puppet master, and she'd prove it. Malik's voice cut through the hum of servers, He'd intercepted a call from Marcus Tate, her CFO, to an unknown number discussing Clayton's downfall. Amara's heart sank. Marcus, her mentor for a decade, had guided her through Wall Street's snake pit, his calm demeanor a rock when investors balked at her race. Betrayal seemed impossible, but the evidence was stark. Bank records showed Marcus receiving $2 million from a Hargrove shell company. Amara's throat tightened, her trust fracturing. She confronted Marcus in the loft's meeting room, its glass walls fogging in the 90-degree heat. His tailored suit, once a symbol of their shared ambition, now mocked her. "Tell me it's not true," she said, her voice low, trembling. Marcus's eyes darted, his fingers twitching. "Amara, you're paranoid. Victor's lies are getting to you." But Malik played the intercepted call, Marcus's voice clear. "She'll never recover. Hargrove's got her." Amara's vision blurred, rage and grief colliding. She fired Marcus on the spot, his pleas echoing as security dragged him out. Her team sealed his access, locking him out of Clayton AI's systems. Amara exhaled, her resolve steeling. Marcus was gone, and she'd take the fight to Victor. She handed Simone a thumb drive with hacked emails proving Victor's racist policies, from blacklisting black-owned stores to funding Lillian's smear campaign. Simone leaked the emails to every major outlet, and by dawn, headlines screamed, "Hargrove's racist empire exposed." Protests erupted outside Pinnacle Galleria, its holographic billboards flickering under the weight of public fury. Amara watched the coverage from the loft, her chest swelling with hope. She'd struck a blow, turned the tide. Victor's name was mud, and her lawsuit against him gained traction. She pictured his downfall, his smug grin erased. But as she toasted her team with cheap coffee, the loft's screens flashed red. A new video aired on Atlanta's top news channel showed Marcus at a press conference, his face somber. "Amara framed me," he said, tears in his eyes. "She fabricated those bank records to cover her own failures." The anchor cut to an audio clip, Amara's voice, distorted but unmistakable, hurling slurs at Marcus. "You're nothing but a sellout." Amara froze, her coffee mug slipping, shattering on the hardwood floor. She'd never said those words. The audio was a fake, spliced with chilling precision. Social media exploded. Her allies, activists, influencers, even her documentary crew, publicly disavowing her. Clayton lies trended, drowning out the protests against Victor. Amara's phone buzzed with texts from her board, demanding she step down. Her team looked to her, their faith wavering, but she had no answers. The loft felt like a cage, its walls closing in. Simone urged her to respond, but Amara's mind reeled. How had Victor and Lillian pulled this off? The audio's timing, Marcus's crocodile tears, it was too perfect. She paced, her sneakers scuffing the floor, when a screech of tires outside snapped her alert. Malik checked the security feed. A swarm of paparazzi, their cameras flashing like vultures, had found the loft. Amara's pulse raced. Someone had leaked her location. She grabbed her laptop, ready to bolt, but a shadow moved outside the window. A masked figure cloaked in black slashed her SUV's tires with a blade, the rubber hissing. The figure paused, their breath fogging the glass, and whispered, "Victor sends his regards." Amara stumbled back, her heart hammering. The figure vanished as paparazzi shouts grew louder, their lenses trained on the loft. Malik shoved her toward a back stairwell, its metal steps clanging under their weight. They escaped into a service alley, the air thick with diesel fumes as camera drones buzzed overhead. Amara's chest heaved, her blazer torn from a jagged fence. Marcus's betrayal wasn't just personal, it was Victor's checkmate, a knife to her inner circle. The fake audio, the paparazzi, the masked attacker. Victor and Lillian had orchestrated a symphony of chaos, each note sharper than the last. Amara ducked into a waiting car, its engine roaring as Malik sped off. Her empire was crumbling, her allies gone, her safety shattered. The anonymous text from the mall, the mob, the hack, now this. It was all Victor, his power vast, his hatred deeper than she'd imagined. But Amara's eyes burned with defiance. She'd lost everything once before. A kid with nothing but a dream. And she'd risen. Victor thought he'd broken her, but she'd find his weakness, expose his lies, and burn his empire to the ground. As the car vanished into Atlanta's neon maze, a new alert flashed on her phone. Clayton AI faces federal investigation. The war had just gotten bloodier. Amara Clayton sat in a sterile conference room, its frosted glass walls trapping the hum of Atlanta's midday heat. 10 days after Marcus Tate's betrayal gutted her trust, she was a fugitive in her own life, dodging paparazzi and a masked attacker sent by Victor Hargrove, the real estate titan orchestrating her downfall. His fake audio clip, painting her as a racist tyrant, had turned allies against her, while Lillian Voss's smears and a cyber attack on Clayton AI left her empire in tatters. But Amara, who'd clawed her way from a savannah tenement to a billionaire's throne, thrived in chaos. Her dark eyes, shadowed from sleepless nights, burned with defiance. She'd hired Elena Vasquez, a Latina lawyer with a reputation for dismantling corporate giants, to sue Victor and Lillian for defamation and conspiracy. Elena's office, perched 50 floors above Peachtree Street, buzzed with paralegals sifting through evidence. Victor's racist emails, bank records tying him to the hack, and Lillian's encrypted texts demanding Clayton's ruin. Amara leaned over a tablet, her fingers tracing a money trail linking Hargrove Enterprises to offshore accounts. Elena's voice was sharp, confident. "We've got him," she said, slamming a folder shut. "These accounts show Victor laundering cash through Pinnacle Galleria to fund Lillian's campaign and the hack." Amara's lips twitched, a rare flicker of hope. The lawsuit wasn't just a defense, it was a weapon to expose Victor's empire as a racist machine. She pictured his boardroom, all polished oak and smug white faces, crumbling under public outrage. Elena filed the suit at 9 in the morning, and by noon a federal judge, swayed by the evidence, issued a bombshell ruling. Victor's personal assets, worth $2 billion, were frozen pending investigation. News channels looped the story, their anchors stunned, while protests swelled outside Hargrove Enterprises' glass tower, 3 miles from the Galleria. Amara watched the coverage on Elena's flat screen, her heart pounding. Social media flipped, with Cause of Justice for Amara trending, drowning out the racist slurs that had haunted her. She stood taller, her tailored blazer crisp despite the 92-degree humidity seeping through the windows. She'd done it, turned Victor's lies into his own noose. For the first time in weeks, she felt the weight lift. Her dream of luxe, couture as an inclusive beacon within reach. But as she toasted Elena with sparkling water, the office doors crashed open. 6 police officers, their badges glinting under fluorescent lights, stormed in, boots thudding on the hardwood floor. The lead cop, a burly man with a crew cut, barked, "Amara Clayton, you're under arrest for fraud and cybercrime." Amara's glass slipped, shattering at her feet. Her pulse roared in her ears. "What?" she stammered, stepping back. Elena shoved between them, her voice fierce. "On what grounds?" The cop thrust a warrant in her face, its ink still fresh. She orchestrated the Clayton AI hack, forged documents to frame Hargrove. Amara's mind reeled. The hack. She'd lost everything to it. The officers grabbed her arms, their grips bruising, and cuffed her wrists, the metal biting into her skin. Elena shouted, demanding a lawyer. But the cops ignored her, marching Amara through the office. Paralegals froze, their eyes wide, as camera drones buzzed outside, streaming her arrest live. The elevator ride down 50 floors felt like a descent into hell, the air thick with the cops' cologne and her own fear. They shoved her into a squad car, its leather seats sticky in the heat, and sped to Fulton County Jail, 3 miles away. The booking room stank of bleach, its concrete walls echoing with shouts. Amara's mugshot flashed on a screen, her face hollow, her braids frayed. She was stripped of her blazer, her phone, her dignity, and shoved into a holding cell, its bars rusted, its air sour. Alone, she paced, her sneakers scuffing the floor, her mind racing. The charges were absurd, the evidence fabricated, but the timing was surgical. Victor had struck back, his frozen assets a trigger for this ambush. She'd underestimated his reach, his ability to bend the law itself. Hours later, a guard, A towering woman with a shaved head and a sneer approached her cell. Her name tag read Crawford, and her eyes glinted with malice. "Hargrove says hello," she whispered, her breath hot through the bars. "Sleep light, Clayton. Accidents happen here." Amara's stomach churned, her fists clenching. The guard's baton tapped the bars, a slow, deliberate rhythm before she sauntered off. Amara sank onto the cell's cot, its springs creaking, her breath shallow. The lawsuit had been her triumph, a blade to Victor's throat, but he'd turned it against her, framing her as the criminal. She replayed Elena's evidence, the money trail, the emails. They were real, undeniable, but Victor's power ran deeper, into the courts, the police, the jails. Lillian's smirk flashed in her mind, her role as Victor's pawn now clear. The anonymous text from the mall, the mob, the hack, Marcus's betrayal, every blow was Victor's, each sharper, crueler. Amara's cellmate, a wiry woman with faded tattoos, muttered, "They'll bury you here." Amara ignored her, her mind sharpening. She'd faced worse odds, a black girl in a world that spat on her dreams. Elena would fight for her, but time was slipping. The guard's threat wasn't idle. Victor wanted her silenced, dead. Amara's jaw tightened, her resolve a flickering flame. She'd find a way out, expose the frame-up, and make Victor pay. But as the cell's lights dimmed, a distant scream echoed through the jail, and Crawford's baton tapped again, closer now. Amara's eyes darted to the shadows, her heart racing. The trap was tightening, and survival was no guarantee. Amara Clayton shivered on a threadbare cot in Fulton County Jail, the cell's concrete walls oozing dampness in Atlanta's sticky 90-degree night. 2 days after her arrest for fraud, a frame-up by Victor Hargrove, the tycoon dismantling her life. She was a caged lion, her spirit unbowed despite a guard's chilling threat. Victor's empire, exposed by her lawsuit, had struck back, with Lillian Voss as his venomous pawn. The fake charges, tied to the hack that gutted Clayton, AI were a masterstroke, turning her triumph, freezing Victor's $2 billion assets into a trap. Her braids, once sleek, hung loose, her orange jumpsuit a stark contrast to the tailored blazers of her billionaire days. But Amara, who'd coded her way out of poverty at 14, thrived on defiance. The guard, Crawford, had whispered Victor's name, her baton, a promise of violence. Amara's eyes scanned the shadows, her pulse steady. She needed allies, a plan, a way out. The cell block buzzed with murmurs, inmates trading secrets through the bars. A wiry woman, Tara, in the next cell caught Amara's gaze. Her faded tattoos and sharp eyes hinted at a life of survival. "Heard you're Clayton," Tara muttered, her voice low. "Hargrove owns this place. Guards, warden, all his." Amara leaned closer, the bars cold against her cheek. Tara's intel was gold. Victor bribed the prison's brass, ensuring accidents for enemies. Crawford was his enforcer, paid to break Amara. Tara, locked up for protesting Hargrove's gentrification, knew the system's cracks. "Help me, I help you," Tara said, her grin sly. Amara nodded, her mind racing. They hatched a plan, simple but bold. During the next meal, Tara faked a seizure, thrashing on the cafeteria floor, drawing guards. Amara slipped to a contraband phone hidden in a vent. Its screen cracked but functional. She called Elena Vasquez, her lawyer, her voice a hushed torrent. "I'm framed, Elena. Victor's got the jail. Get me out." Elena, 3 miles away, promised a bail hearing, her fury crackling through the line. Amara hung up, her heart pounding as Tara's screams faded. The guards, distracted, missed her move. By dawn, Elena's legal wizardry worked. A judge, swayed by Amara's clean record, granted bail at $1 million. Amara walked out, the jail's gates clanging, shut, the morning sun blinding. Elena waited, her SUV idling, and Amara collapsed inside, her jumpsuit swapped for jeans. Freedom tasted sweet, but the fight was far from over. She sped home to her Buckhead mansion, its marble halls a fortress against the world. But the front door hung ajar, splintered. Amara's breath caught. She stepped inside, glass crunching, under her sneakers. The walls, once pristine, were defaced with red spray paint, slurs screaming across her foyer. "Go back to the ghetto!" Her art, African sculptures worth millions, lay shattered. Her security system, state-of-the-art, was disabled, the cameras smeared with paint. Amara's knees buckled, her home violated, her sanctuary a battlefield. Elena called the police. But Amara knew they'd do nothing. Victor's reach infected the system. As she swept up glass, her phone blared a bomb threat, the robotic voice chilling. "Leave, or you're ash." Amara froze, her pulse a drumbeat. Elena yanked her outside, the mansion's lawn sprawling under a crimson sunset. They dove into the SUV, speeding 3 miles to a motel, its neon sign flickering in East Atlanta's grime. Amara checked in under a fake name, the room's musty carpet swallowing her steps. She sank onto a sagging bed, her laptop glowing, ready to trace the threat. But as she typed, a red laser dot danced across the wall, grazing the window's edge. Amara dove to the floor, her heart slamming. A sniper, silent and precise, had found her. The laser vanished, but the message was clear. Victor wanted her dead. She crawled to the bathroom, its tiles cold, and dialed Malik, her security chief, whispering her location. He arrived in 20 minutes, his black SUV a lifeline. Amara slipped inside, the motel fading as they raced through Atlanta's backstreets, headlights off. Her mind churned. The vandalism, the bomb threat, the sniper. Victor's retaliation was a crescendo, each blow deadlier than the last. The jail, the hack, Marcus's betrayal, all led here, to a city that hunted her for her skin, her success. Tara's words echoed. Victor owned the system, from guards to guns. Amara's fists clenched, her nails biting her palms. She'd escaped, but at what cost? Her home was a ruin, her life a target. Elena's bail victory was a flicker, snuffed out by Victor's wrath. But Amara wasn't a victim. She'd built an empire from nothing, defied a world that spat on her dreams. Victor thought he'd caged her, but she'd find his cracks, turn his weapons against him. As Malik's SUV vanished into the night, a new alert flashed. Hargrove denies vandalism, blames Clayton for staged attack. Lillian's face, smirking on the news, taunted her. The war was escalating and Amara was running out of moves. Yo, viewers, what's your take? Comment number 1 if you're stunned by Victor's dirty tricks, or if you believe Amara's got the strength to fight back. Smash that like to rally for her cause, and subscribe to see how she battles this corrupt system. Can Amara outsmart a tycoon who controls everything, even the shadows? Amara Clayton crouched in a derelict warehouse on Atlanta's west side, the air thick with dust and the faint hum of distant traffic. 3 days after escaping a sniper's laser dot at a grimy motel, she was a shadow, hunted by Victor Hargrove's vast machine. His vandalism of her mansion, scrawled with racist slurs, and a bomb threat had shattered her sanctuary, following a rigged arrest and a prison guard's menace. Lillian Voss, his loyal pawn, fueled the lies that turned Amara's city against her, from a viral smear video to a fake audio clip. But Amara, who'd built Clayton AI from a kid's dream in a Savannah tenement, was no prey. Her eyes, sharp despite exhaustion, scanned the warehouse's rusted beams, her laptop's glow. Her only light. She'd gone underground, her tailored blazers swapped for a hoodie, her braids tucked under a cap. Victor's reach, jail, police, media, was a noose, but she'd find a way to cut it. Her security chief, Malik, had connected her with Jamal Robinson, a wiry activist with a scar across his cheek and a fire in his voice. Jamal led a crew of hackers and organizers, the Atlanta Justice Collective, who'd battled Hargrove's gentrification for years. They met in the warehouse, its concrete floor littered with old crates, their faces lit by a single bulb. Jamal's crew, a mix of Black, Latino, and Asian faces, eyed Amara warily. "You're the billionaire," Jamal said, his tone half respect, half doubt. "Hargrove's got you pinned. Why trust us?" Amara stood, her voice steady. "Because you know, his game. He's not just after me, he's crushing us all." She shared her evidence, Victor's emails, bank records, the hack's trail. Jamal nodded, his crew softening. They'd seen Hargrove evict families, rig contracts, and silence dissent with bribes. Together, they forged a plan to hit him where it hurt: his wallet. Amara's coders, synced via encrypted servers, worked with Jamal's hackers to breach Hargrove Enterprises' accounts. By midnight, they'd siphoned $30 million into anonymous crypto wallets, funds Victor couldn't trace. Jamal's team went further, hijacking Atlanta's digital billboards, 50 across the city, to broadcast Victor's crimes. "Hargrove funds racism," flashed over Peachtree Street, with clips of his emails and Lillian's texts. The city erupted, protests swelling outside Pinnacle Galleria, its glass facade reflecting a sea of signs. Amara watched live feeds on her laptop, her chest tight with triumph. Thousands chanted her name. Justice for Amara trending globally. The Galleria's holographic displays flickered, hacked to show her face, defiant, unbroken. She'd turned Victor's lies into a weapon, his empire cracking under public rage. Jamal slapped her shoulder, his grin wide. "You're one of us now." Amara allowed a smile, her first in weeks. She pictured Victor, 3 miles away in his penthouse, raging as his stock plummeted. Her lawsuit, her exposés, now this, she was winning. But as dawn broke, the warehouse's screens blared with breaking news. A grim-faced anchor declared, "Amara Clayton's Justice Collective linked to terrorism." Amara's blood ran cold. The report claimed the collective had planted bombs at Hargrove properties, citing leaked texts from Amara ordering attacks. The texts were fake, but the damage was instant. Social media flipped, branding her a warlord. Walk terrorist Clayton drowning out her victory. Protests turned hostile, bottles smashing against police barricades. Amara's laptop pinged. Clayton AIs. Board suspended her, her empire gutted. Jamal's crew scrambled, their faces pale, but the warehouse doors rattled. A SWAT team clad in black stormed in, their rifles glinting under the bulb. "Hands up!" a commander barked, his laser sight on Amara's chest. She froze, her pulse a drumbeat, as Jamal dove for cover. Flashbangs exploded, smoke choking the air. Amara ducked behind a crate, her hoodie snagging on splintered wood, but a bullet grazed Jamal's arm, his blood splattering the floor. He collapsed, gasping, as SWAT closed in. Malik yanked Amara through a side exit, the warehouse's steel walls echoing with shouts. They sprinted into an alley, the 95-degree air thick with diesel fumes, and piled into a waiting van. Tires screeched, the van vanishing into Atlanta's maze, but Amara's mind reeled. Jamal shot, maybe dead, and she was the scapegoat. News alerts flooded her phone. Clayton blamed for activists' death. Victor had struck back, framing the collective as terrorists, twisting their hack into a bloodbath. Lillian's hand was in this, her media connection spinning the lie. The SWAT raid wasn't random. Victor's bribes reached the feds, his power a hydra Amara couldn't slay. She clutched her laptop, its screen cracked, her breath ragged. The billboards, the protests, her alliance. They'd felt like victory, but Victor had turned them into a trap, deadlier than the sniper, the jail, the hack. Her allies were scattered, her name poison. The van swerved through a tunnel, its concrete walls blurring, as Malik whispered, "We'll regroup." But Amara's eyes burned, grief and rage, colliding. Jamal's blood was on her hands, his sacrifice a debt she'd repay. She'd built her empire defying men like Victor, who saw her skin as a crime. He thought he'd broken her, but she'd rise, find his next move, and shatter his throne. As the van emerged into Atlanta's neon glow, a new alert flashed. FBI issues warrant for Clayton's arrest. The noose was tightening and time was her enemy. Amara Clayton slunk through Atlanta's underbelly, her hoodie soaked in the 90-degree drizzle, her breath short from a week on the run. The SWAT raid that bloodied Jamal, her activist ally, still haunted her. Victor Hargrove's terrorism, frame-up turning her into a fugitive. His empire, stung by her hacked billboards exposing his racism, had retaliated with lethal precision, branding her Justice Collective as bombers. Lillian Voss's lies, from a viral smear video to a fake audio clip, had fueled a city's hate, while a sniper, a rigged arrest, and a vandalized mansion pushed Amara to the edge. But she was no stranger to survival, having coded her way from a savannah slum to a billionaire's crown at 34. Her eyes, bloodshot but fierce, darted through the neon-lit alleys, her cap low to dodge drones. Malik, her security chief, had stashed her in a safe house, but Victor's reach, cops, feds, media, was a tightening net. She needed to strike back, clear her name, and bury Hargrove. Her plan was reckless: infiltrate WATL News, Atlanta's top station, and broadcast. Victor's crimes live. She'd hacked their servers, her laptop a lifeline, and found a backdoor to their studio. Disguised in a janitor's jumpsuit, stolen from a laundry truck, Amara slipped into the station's loading dock, its asphalt slick with rain. The guard, distracted by a buzzing phone, missed her as she swiped a keycard. Inside, the station pulsed with chaos, producers shouting, monitors flashing her wanted poster. Amara's heart raced, her sneakers silent on the tiled floor. She reached the control room, its walls lined with screens, and plugged in her drive. Her evidence, Victor's bank records, emails, and hack trails, loaded, ready to air. At 9 p.m., as the anchor droned about stocks, Amara overrode the feed. Her face filled every screen, her voice steady, raw. "Victor Hargrove framed me," she said, her words slicing through Atlanta's airwaves. "He's a racist, a liar, funding smears and violence to silence me." She played the emails, the records, her story of Lux Couture's humiliation, the jail, the sniper. The broadcast went viral, 50 million views in minutes. Twice Amara truth trending globally. Social media flipped, influencers rallying, protests reigniting outside Pinnacle Galleria, 3 miles away. Amara's chest swelled, her breath steadying. She'd done it, turned the tide, her voice louder than Victor's lies. The control rooms. Alarms blared, guards closing in, but she'd planned her exit. She slipped into a stairwell, its metal steps echoing, ready to vanish. But as she reached the ground floor, a new broadcast hijacked the station's screens. Lillian Voss, her blonde hair gleaming, aired a deepfake video. Amara's face eerily real, confessing, "I led the collective's bombings. I'm guilty." The audio, chillingly perfect, matched her voice, her cadence. Amara froze, her pulse, a hammer. The deepfake was a masterwork, Victor's tech beyond anything she'd seen. Social media erupted, terrorist Clayton roaring back, her allies wavering. The station's doors burst open, not guards but a mob, 200 strong, their faces twisted with hate. "Murderer!" they screamed, hurling bottles, their slurs cutting deep. Amara sprinted for an exit, but the mob blocked it, their fists pounding the glass. Police sirens wailed, tear gas canisters hissing, the air burning her lungs. She ducked into a ventilation shaft, its steel walls claustrophobic, her elbows scraping as she crawled. The mob's shouts faded, but her phone tucked in her pocket buzzed with alerts. Clayton's broadcast debunked as hoax. Lillian's deepfake had won, her media connections spinning Amara's truth into madness. Amara emerged in a back alley, the rain now a torrent, her jumpsuit clinging to her skin. Malik's van waited, but as she ran, a drone hummed overhead, its red eye locking on her. A dart fired, grazing her arm, the sting sharp, numbing. She stumbled, her vision blurring, but Malik yanked her into the van, tires screeching. They sped through Atlanta's neon maze, the drone's hum fading. Amara's arm throbbed, the dart's toxin a warning, not a kill shot. Victor's tech, his cruelty, was evolving, each blow sharper than the sniper, the raid, the jail. The deepfake wasn't just a lie, it was a guillotine, severing her last allies. Her broadcast, her moment of triumph, was ashes, the mob's hate proof of Victor's grip on the city. Lillian's smirk, plastered on newsstands, mocked her. Amara leaned back, the van's leather cool against her soaked hoodie, her breath ragged. She'd lost Jamal, her empire, her name, but not her fire. She'd built Clayton AI defying men who saw her skin as a sin, and Victor was just another. The drone's dart was a message. He could strike anywhere, any time. But Amara's mind sharpened, her resolve a blade. She'd hack deeper, find his text source, and expose his next move. As the van swerved past a billboard, its hacked display flickering with her wanted poster, a new alert flashed. FBI doubles reward for Clayton's capture. The manhunt was tightening, and survival was a gamble. Amara Clayton huddled in a creaky cabin 30 miles outside Atlanta, the pine-scented air a stark contrast to the neon chaos she'd fled. 5 days after a drone's dart grazed her arm in a rain-soaked alley, she was a hunted woman. Victor Hargrove's deepfake video branding her a terrorist. His machine, fueled by Lillian Voss's lies from a smear video to a rigged arrest, had torn through her life, with a sniper, a SWAT raid, and a vandalized mansion as his calling cards. But Amara, who'd built Clayton AI from a Savannah tenement's dreams, was forged in fire. Her sister Nia, 30 years old and a nurse with a laugh that could light up a room, had insisted on hiding her. The cabin, tucked in Georgia's rolling hills, was Nia's retreat, its wooden walls lined with family photos. Amara's eyes lingered on one. Her and Nia at 16, grinning in Savannah's heat, before the world taught them its cruelty. She'd kept Nia out of her war, but Victor's net was closing. Her hoodie, still damp from the night's escape, clung to her skin as she hacked on a burner laptop, its keys worn. Malik, her security chief, stood guard outside, his silhouette sharp against the moonlight. Amara's latest breach uncovered Victor's endgame. He planned to seize Pinnacle Galleria, foreclosing on tenants to build a whites-only luxury complex. The emails, buried in encrypted servers, named Lillian as his enforcer, bribing city officials. Amara's pulse quickened. This was her weapon. She emailed the evidence to the FBI, attaching a tip about Victor's offshore accounts, her fingers trembling with defiance. By dawn, her phone buzzed with news. FBI agents raided Hargrove Enterprises Tower, 5 miles from the Galleria, arresting 3 of Victor's lieutenants. Protests flared, signs reading, "End Hargrove's reign," waving in the 90-degree haze. Amara exhaled, her chest loosening. The raids were a blow, Victor's empire cracking. Nia hugged her, her warmth a rare comfort. "You're unstoppable," Nia said, her eyes bright. Amara smiled, picturing Victor's panic, his boardroom in chaos. She'd protected her city, her sister, her dream of luxe couture's rebirth. But as they cooked breakfast, bacon sizzling on a rusty stove, Malik burst in, his face ashen. "They've got Nia," he said, shoving his phone at Amara. A grainy video showed Nia, gagged in a warehouse, her eyes wide with fear. Lillian's voice, cold and venomous, narrated, "Surrender, Clayton, or she's dead." Amara's knees buckled, the phone slipping. Nia, her anchor, was Victor's pawn. The video's timestamp was an hour old, the location tagged. An abandoned factory 10 miles away. Amara's mind raced. Victor's retaliation wasn't just cruel, it was personal, a blade to her heart. She grabbed a burner phone, tracing the video's signal with Malik's help. They sped to the factory, its rusted silos looming under a crimson sky. Amara crept inside, the air thick with oil and decay, her sneakers silent on cracked concrete. Malik flanked her, his gun drawn. They found Nia tied to a chair, her wrists raw, but alive. Amara cut her free, tears burning as Nia whispered, "I knew you'd come." But as they turned to flee, Lillian emerged from the shadows, her blonde, hair glinting, a lighter in her hand. "You're too late," she hissed, flicking it. A trail of gasoline ignited, flames roaring across the warehouse floor. Amara shoved Nia toward an exit, Malik covering them, but the fire surged, heat blistering her skin. Beams collapsed, sparks raining as they dove through a shattered window, landing hard on gravel. Amara's arm bled, glass embedded, but Nia limped, her ankle twisted. They stumbled to the van, tires screeching as Malik floored it. The factory exploded behind them, a fireball lighting the night, Lillian's silhouette vanishing in the blaze. Amara held Nia, her sister's sobs shaking them both, but her phone buzzed with a new horror. Victor had leaked her location to Bounty. Hunters, their profiles flashing on dark web forums. 1 million for Clayton, dead or alive. Amara's breath hitched. The FBI raid, Her triumph was dust. Victor had turned her sister into bait, her rescue into a death trap. Lillian's arson was a spectacle, meant to break her. The van sped through Georgia's back roads, pines blurring, but Amara's mind churned. Victor's emails, the raids, had stung him, but he'd struck deeper, targeting her blood. Nia's pain was her failure, a debt she'd repay. She'd defied a world that hated her skin, built an empire from nothing. Victor thought he'd won, but she'd hack his next move, expose his hunters, and end him. As the van hit a dirt road, a new alert flashed. Clayton's sisters spotted bounty hunters closing in. The chase was on, and Amara was out of hiding places. Yo, viewers, what's your call? Comment number 1 if you're heartbroken for Nia's ordeal, or if you're rooting for Amara to crush Victor's cruelty. Hit like to stand with their fight, and subscribe to catch every pulse-pounding twist. How will Amara protect her sister when the whole world's hunting them? Amara Clayton crouched in a nondescript motel room 15 miles from Atlanta, the hum of a flickering neon sign seeping through cracked blinds. A week after rescuing her sister Nia from a blazing warehouse, she was a ghost, hunted by bounty, hunters unleashed by Victor Hargrove's vendetta. His machine, fueled by Lillian Voss's arson, a deepfake video, and a terrorism frame-up, had shredded her life, from a smeared reputation to a rigged arrest. But Amara, who'd turned a savannah, kid's code into a billion-dollar empire, was a storm unbroken. Her arm, scarred from warehouse glass, throbbed as she hunched over a burner laptop, its screen casting a glow on Nia, asleep on a sagging cot, her ankle bandaged. Malik, her security chief, stood watch, his silhouette tense against the door. The bounty hunter's dark web posts offering $1 million for Amara's head were Victor's latest blow, following a sniper, a SWAT raid, and a vandalized mansion. But Amara's mind was a blade, sharpened by rage. She'd uncovered Victor's plan to seize Pinnacle Galleria, and her FBI tip had sparked raids, only for him to kidnap Nia in retaliation. Now she dug deeper, hacking Hargrove Enterprises, financials. Her code cracked their stock portfolio, a $3 billion beast tied to shell companies. Amara's plan was ruthless: crash Victor's wealth, bankrupt his empire, and reclaim Luxe Couture. By midnight, her algorithms flooded the market, shorting Hargrove's stocks with surgical precision. Wall Street trembled, his shares plummeting, 60% in hours. Newsfeeds buzzed, Hargrove empire collapses. Amara's lips curled, a flicker of triumph. She wired the siphoned funds to anonymous accounts, starving Victor's operations. Protests surged outside his tower, 5 miles from the Galleria, signs demanding his arrest in the 90-degree dusk. Amara slipped into Pinnacle Galleria at dawn, her hoodie swapped for a stolen security uniform, her braids tucked under a cap. The mall's holographic chandeliers shimmered, a cruel reminder of her first humiliation. She met with Luxe Couture's staff, firing Victor's loyalists, managers who'd echoed Lillian's racism. The store was hers again, its racks now stocked with designs from Black and Latino artists. Social media erupted, like Amara Rises trending, videos of her takeover hitting 20 million views. Amara stood in the store, its marble floors gleaming, her chest swelling. She'd gutted Victor's wealth, reclaimed her dream. Nia, safe at a new hideout, texted, "You're a legend." Amara exhaled, picturing Victor's panic, his penthouse a cage. But as she locked the store, a blast shook the city. Her phone screamed with alerts. A bomb had ripped through Clayton AI's headquarters 2 miles away, injuring 10 employees. Glass shards littered Peachtree Street, ambulances wailing. Amara's knees buckled, her breath shallow. The news pinned the attack on her, claiming she'd bombed her own office to distract from terrorism charges. Social media flipped. Chalker's Clayton monster trending, her takeover buried under hate. Lillian's face, smirking on every channel, called it Amara's desperate act. Amara's stomach churned. This was Victor's counterstrike, Lillian's handiwork, a spectacle to crush her. Malik rushed her to a van, but her phone buzzed, with worse. Victor had bribed a senator, Elaine Carver, to pass a law targeting Clayton AI's patents, freezing her remaining assets. The legislation, rushed through in hours, branded her tech as national security risks. Amara's empire, her life's work, teetered on collapse. As they sped through Atlanta's neon veins, headlights flashed behind them. 3 black SUVs, unmarked, roared closer, their drivers masked. Malik swerved, tires screeching, but the SUVs rammed the van, metal crunching. Amara gripped the seat, her pulse a drumbeat. "Mercenaries," Malik growled, flooring it. A gunshot cracked, shattering, the rear window glass raining. Amara ducked, her laptop sliding as Malik veered into an alley, its brick walls scraping the van. The SUVs pursued, their engines snarling, but Malik lost them in a maze of backstreets, the 95-degree air thick with exhaust. Amara's chest heaved, her arm bleeding from a stray shard. The bombing wasn't enough. Victor had sent killers, his wealth gone but his hatred infinite. Lillian's bomb, the senator's law, the mercenaries. Each blow was sharper, deadlier than the kidnapping, the deepfake, the raid. Her takeover, her moment of glory was a trap. Victor's empire striking from the ashes. Amara leaned back, the van's leather slick with her sweat, her mind racing. She'd lost her office, her patents, her safety, but not her will. She'd defied a world that spat on her black skin, built a fortune from nothing. Victor thought he'd buried her, but she'd hack his bribes, expose Carver, and end this war. As the van slipped into a tunnel, its concrete walls swallowing them, a new alert flashed. Clayton AI employees demand CEO's resignation. Her own people had turned, and the mercenaries were still out there hunting. Amara Clayton sat shackled in a stark Atlanta courtroom, its oak benches packed with reporters, their cameras a relentless glare. 2 days after mercenaries rammed her van, she was a battered warrior, Victor Hargrove's machine, fueled by Lillian. Voss's bombing of Clayton AI and a senator's racist law, having crushed her empire. From a smear video to a deepfake, a rigged arrest to a sniper's dart, his blows had left her hunted, her sister Nia barely safe. But Amara, who'd coded her way from Savannah's shadows to a billionaire's throne, burned with defiance. Her wrists chafed under cuffs, her jumpsuit stiff, but her eyes, sharp despite sleepless nights, met the judge's gaze. She'd surrendered to clear her name, tired of running from bounty hunters and lies branding her a terrorist. Elena Vasquez, her lawyer, stood beside her, her navy suit crisp in the 90-degree heat seeping through the courtroom's tall windows. The trial, televised on every major network, was a circus. 500 miles of cable carrying Amara's face to millions. The prosecution, a slick DA with Victor's stench, painted her as a mastermind, tying her to the Clayton AI hack, the Justice Collective's bombings, and now the office explosion that injured 10. Amara's jaw clenched, the lies a knife to her legacy. Elena countered, her voice a razor, dismantling the charges with evidence. Victor's emails, bank records, and hacked servers proving he framed Amara. She played footage of Lillian's texts, her role in the smear campaign undeniable. The jury, 12 faces etched with doubt, leaned forward as Elena unveiled the senator's law, bribed by Victor to gut Amara's patents. Social media shifted. Free Amara trending, protests swelling. Outside the courthouse, their chants audible through the glass. Amara's chest tightened, hope flickering. Elena's final blow was a recording, hacked from Hargrove's servers, of him ordering the deepfake. The courtroom gasped, reporters scribbling, as the judge's gavel fell. After 3 hours of deliberation, the jury returned, not guilty. Amara exhaled, tears burning as the cuffs clicked off. The judge ordered Victor's arrest, his assets seized, and the courtroom erupted, cheers drowning the DA's protests. Elena hugged her, whispering, "We did it." Amara stood, her legs shaky, the weight of weeks, Nia's kidnapping, Jamal's blood, her empire's ruin, lifting. She faced the cameras, her voice steady, vowing to rebuild Lux Couture as a beacon for all. The broadcast hit 100 million views, her acquittal a global roar. She walked out, the courthouse steps blazing under noon sun, protesters waving, signs. Amara's truth. For the first time she felt free, her name cleared, Victor caged. But as she reached Elena's SUV, 3 miles from Pinnacle Galleria, her phone buzzed with a jailbreak alert. Lillian, now Victor's shadow, had orchestrated a prison riot at Fulton County, where Victor was held. Inmates, bribed with Hargrove, cash, overwhelmed guards, and Victor vanished, his mugshot flashing on newsstands. Amara's breath caught, her triumph souring. She climbed into the SUV, Elena driving. But 10 miles out, headlights flared behind them. 2 armored trucks, their plates obscured, roared closer, ramming the SUV's bumper. Metal groaned, the vehicle swerving on the rain-slicked highway. Amara gripped the door, her pulse hammering, as Elena floored it, tires screaming. A truck pulled alongside, its window lowering, revealing Lillian's smirk, her blonde hair whipping. "You're done, Clayton!" she shouted, a gun glinting. A shot cracked, shattering the SUV's side mirror. Elena veered, but the trucks boxed them in, forcing the SUV toward a bridge's edge. Amara braced, her mind racing. Victor's escape was no fluke. This was his endgame. The SUV skidded, its wheels scraping the guardrail, and plunged into the Chattahoochee River below, 40 feet down. Cold water flooded the cabin, glass cracking as Amara kicked the door, her lungs burning. She dragged Elena free, swimming to the muddy bank, her clothes heavy, her arm bleeding from the crash. They collapsed, gasping, but sirens wailed, too far to help. Amara's phone, waterlogged, buzzed with a final alert. Hargrove vows to destroy Clayton's legacy. Worse, Elena's limp form beside her wasn't moving. Amara checked her pulse. Nothing. Her lawyer, her ally, was gone, the river claiming her. Amara's scream tore through the night, grief and rage colliding. The acquittal, her moment of victory, was a mirage. Victor and Lillian had turned it into a death trap, their ambush sharper than the mercenaries, the bombing, the deep fake. She staggered to her feet, the river's current a roar, her body bruised but unbroken. Victor was free, his hatred a hydra, and Lillian's gun was a promise of more. Amara had lost everything. Her empire, Jamal, now Elena, but not her fire. She'd defied a world that loathed her black skin, built a fortune from scraps. Victor thought he'd won, but she'd hunt him, expose his escape, and end this war. As she limped into the pines, a new alert flashed on a bystander's phone, filming her. Clayton escapes crash, wanted again. The river glittered, and the chase was far from over. Amara Clayton slipped through Pinnacle Galleria's service tunnels, the air dank with mold, her boots silent on the concrete. 3 days after a river crash claimed her lawyer Elena, she was a hunted phantom. Victor Hargrove's ambush, fueled by Lillian Voss's prison riot, proving his reach was endless. His machine, from a smear video to a deepfake, a bombing to mercenaries, had shattered her empire, her sister Nia barely safe. But Amara, who'd forged Clayton AI from Savannah's grit, was a spark in the dark. Her hoodie, torn from the crash, clung to her bruised skin, her braids loose under a cap. Malik, her security chief, had tracked Victor and Lillian to the Galleria, their hideout a penthouse suite 10 stories above. Amara's plan was audacious: trap them, expose their crimes, and end this war. She'd hacked the mall's systems, its holographic displays and cameras now her weapons. Her burner laptop slung in a backpack held a confession she'd forged. Victor's voice, spliced from old recordings, admitting to the hack, the bombing, Naya's kidnapping. She'd broadcast it globally. Bury him. The tunnels led to a control room, its steel door ajar, monitors humming. Amara slipped inside, the 90-degree heat of Atlanta's night seeping through vents. She plugged in her drive, overriding the Galleria's feeds. Every screen, from chandeliers to billboards, lit up with Victor's fake confession. "I framed Amara Clayton. The hack, the bombs, it was me." The audio was flawless, her tech ablaze. She layered it with evidence, emails, bank records, Lillian's texts, naming them as Atlanta's puppeteers. The broadcast hit 200 million views in minutes. Hiker Hargrove exposed trending worldwide. Protests erupted outside, 10,000 strong, their chants shaking the Galleria's glass walls 5 miles from downtown. Amara's chest swelled, her breath steady. She'd turned Victor's lies into his coffin. She hacked the penthouses, Locks, trapping Victor and Lillian inside, their elevator frozen, their phones jammed. Police sirens wailed, converging on the mall, their lights flashing through skylights. Amara watched the feeds, Victor's face pale as SWAT stormed the suite. Lillian screamed, her blonde hair wild as cuffs snapped on. The news declared them arrested, Amara's name cleared, her empire salvageable. She stood in the control room, its monitors a kaleidoscope of her triumph, Lux Couture's revival within reach. She'd done it, outsmarted a titan, saved her city. Malik radioed, urging her to exit, but she lingered, savoring the moment. The Galleria, where Lillian first humiliated her, was now her battleground, her victory. She stepped into the atrium, its marble floors gleaming, ready to face the press, her story reborn. But as she crossed the threshold, a red laser dot grazed her shoulder, the sting sharp. A sniper, perched on a rooftop 300 yards away, had fired, the bullet grazing her flesh. Amara stumbled, blood seeping through her hoodie, the crowd outside erupting in panic, their screams piercing the night. Malik dove, shielding her, as glass shattered, shoppers scattering. Amara's vision blurred, her arm throbbing, but her mind sharpened. The sniper wasn't Victor's. He was cuffed, Lillian too. Her laptop pinged, a message from an encrypted server. Hargrove's partner sends regards. Amara's breath hitched. A secret ally hidden all along had struck, their power vast. She crawled behind a fountain, its water splashing, Malik dragging her to cover. Police swarmed, but the sniper vanished. Their shot a warning, not a kill. Amara's shoulder burned, her blood pooling, but she clutched her laptop. Its screen cracked. The broadcast, her checkmate, was tainted. Victor's arrest a false dawn. The partner's message echoed the mall's first text, tying every blow, sniper, riot, bombing, to a deeper conspiracy. Her triumph was a trap. The crowd's cheers now wails, the Galleria a war zone again. Amara's teeth gritted, rage surging through pain. She'd lost Elena, Jamal, her empire, but not her soul. She'd defied a world that despised her black skin, built a fortune from nothing. Victor was down, but his partner was a new beast, their sniper a promise of chaos. Malik pulled her to a service exit, the tunnels swallowing them, sirens fading. Amara's mind raced, her resolve iron. She'd trace the partner, hack their servers, and expose their face. The Galleria's lights flickered, its holograms looping her broadcast, but the sniper's dot lingered in her memory, a ghost she'd hunt. As they emerged into Atlanta's neon haze, a new alert flashed. Clayton shot, suspected of staging attack. The partner's shadow was long, and the fight was far from over. Amara Clayton slumped in a safe house 10 miles from Atlanta, the room's peeling wallpaper lit by a single bulb, its buzz a faint echo of her racing pulse. 2 days after a sniper's bullet grazed her shoulder in Pinnacle Galleria, she was a wounded lion, Victor Hargrove's arrest a fleeting victory. His machine, fueled by Lillian Voss's smears, from a viral video to a prison riot, had crushed her empire, her allies, her sister's safety. The sniper, sent by Victor's secret partner, was a new shadow, their message chilling. Hargrove's partner sends regards. But Amara, who'd built Clayton AI from a Savannah kid's code, was unbreakable, her spirit aflame in the dark. Her shoulder, bandaged but throbbing, ached as she hunched over a burner laptop, its screen scarred from the river crash that killed Elena. Malik, her security chief, stood guard, his eyes scanning the night through a boarded window. Nia, her sister, rested in a back room, her ankle healing but her spirit shaken by the warehouse fire. The Galleria's broadcast, Amara's forged confession pinning Victor, had cuffed him and Lillian, but the sniper's shot proved a deeper conspiracy. Amara's fingers flew, hacking the sniper's phone, recovered by Malik from the rooftop. Its data, encrypted in layers she'd cracked before, led to a server in D.C. tied to a name that froze her blood, Senator Elaine Carver. Amara's breath hitched, her mind reeling. Carver, a white political titan with a smile that charmed voters, had dined with Amara at fundraisers praising her tech. Now the truth burned. Carver was Victor's partner. funding his racism to protect a secret society of elites. Their emails, buried in the server, named the Order of the Crescent, a cabal rigging laws, markets, and media to keep power white. Carver's cash had fueled the hack, the deepfake, the bombing, even the sniper, all to bury Amara's threat to their empire. Amara's chest tightened, rage and betrayal colliding. She'd trusted Carver, believed her allyship, but it was a mask, her kindness a lie. The Order's reach explained Victor's invincibility. Jailbreaks, senators, mercenaries, all their tools. Amara's code dug deeper, pulling names, judges, CEOs, generals, a network spanning continents. She leaked the list to every outlet, her email a grenade, the Order of the Crescent exposed. By dawn, the story broke, headlines screaming, Senator Carver linked to racist cabal. Protests erupted globally. From Atlanta's streets to London's squares, millions chanting, "Down with the Order." Social media exploded. Were Crescent Falls trending, Amara's leak hitting 500 million views. Carver's face, once regal, was haggard on newsstands, her allies scrambling. Amara's lips curled, a bitter triumph. She'd shattered their veil, turned their shadows to ash. With Victor's assets still frozen, she bought Pinnacle Galleria, its deed wired through anonymous accounts. She transformed it, tearing down Lux Couture's old walls, rebuilding it as a community hub. Murals by Black and Latino artists adorned its halls, scholarships funded for kids like her younger self. The opening, streamed live, drew cheers. Amara Wins trending as she spoke, her voice raw but fierce. "This is for us, for justice." Atlanta rallied, the Galleria's chandeliers now beacons of hope, 10 miles from the courthouse where she'd been acquitted. But as she locked the safe house, a letter slid under the door, its paper crisp, unmarked. Amara's pulse spiked, her fingers trembling as she opened it. The words, typed in stark black, read, "We're watching. The Order endures." Her throat tightened, the air heavy with menace. Carver had vanished, her private jet gone, no trace on any grid. Amara's leak had wounded the Order, but its roots ran deep, its members hidden, their hatred a hydra. The letter was their vow, a shadow she couldn't outrun. She burned it, the flames licking her fingers, but the words seared her mind. Victor and Lillian were caged, but Carver's escape was a wound, her power a storm Amara couldn't yet face. She stepped outside, the 95-degree night thick with cicadas, her shoulder aching under the bandage. Malik's SUV idled, ready to move her again. Amara's eyes scanned the dark, her resolve iron. She'd lost Jamal, Elena, her empire's heart, but not her fight. She'd defied a world that loathed her black skin, built a fortune from nothing. The Galleria was hers, a symbol reclaimed, but the Order's threat was a war unborn. She'd hack their shadows, expose their names, and end their reign. As the SUV rolled into Atlanta's neon sprawl, a final alert flashed. Carver denies. Order calls Clayton delusional. The fight was hers, but the cost was eternal vigilance. Amara Clayton's journey in mall staff humiliates black shopper, then she buys the store, is a raw testament to the fight against systemic racism. Her battle, sparked by Lillian Voss's humiliating refusal to serve her, reveals a brutal truth. Wealth and success don't shield black individuals from prejudice. Amara's purchase of Lux Couture was a bold strike, but Victor Hargrove's relentless retaliation, smears, hacks, bombings, and a secret society led by Senator Elaine Carver shows how deeply racism is woven into power structures. The first lesson is resilience. Amara, forged in Savannah's hardships, never broke, turning each blow into a chance to fight smarter. Her hacks, alliances, and broadcasts exposed corruption, proving one voice can shake empires. Second, systemic racism thrives on complicity. Media, police, even allies like Marcus betrayed her, highlighting the need to question institutions. Third, community matters. Amara's transformation of Pinnacle Galleria into a hub for all reflects the power of collective action against hate. Yet Carver's escape and the Order's lingering threat teach a final lesson. Justice is a marathon, not a sprint. Racism's roots run deep, demanding vigilance. Amara's story urges us to challenge prejudice daily, support marginalized voices, and build spaces where everyone belongs. Her defiance, despite losing allies and safety, is a call to stand firm. Let's honor her fight by confronting bias in our lives, amplifying truth, and refusing to let hate win. What's one way you'll fight racism after Amara's story? Comment below, hit like to spread her message, subscribe for more powerful tales, and share to inspire change. Thank you for joining this journey. Here's to a world where justice prevails.